It was 2:07 a.m. when the pounding began. The sound ripped through the stillness like gunfire, hard, sharp, unrelenting. The woman inside the small Atlanta apartment froze mid-dream, heart thudding as her world went from peaceful to chaos in a heartbeat. Bang! 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 Police, open up! The words tore through the air, but to Dr. Maya Coleman it felt like a dream, one of those nightmares that start in confusion and end in tragedy. Her first thought wasn't fear. It was disbelief. She had lived in that neighborhood for 8 years, quietly, without a single incident. Everyone knew her as the woman who left early, came home late, and always smiled at the kids on the block. No one knew that before she was Dr. Coleman, she had been Special Agent Coleman, FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, and tonight, that fact was about to save her life. The officers on the other side of the door had the wrong address. A tip from an unreliable informant had led them to believe a wanted suspect, armed, dangerous and high on something, was hiding out at 2316 East Hamilton Avenue. But the address was supposed to be 2316A, the back duplex, not Maya's home. Still, they didn't know that. Inside, Maya slipped out of bed, her instincts kicking in before her mind fully caught up. Years of fieldwork didn't leave you. Her breathing slowed. Her bare feet moved silently across the cold wooden floor as she whispered to herself, "Stay calm, stay low, stay visible when they enter." The pounding grew louder. One of the cops shouted, "Open the door now or we're coming in." And then the crash. The doorframe splintered, the lock exploded, and 3 armed officers in tactical gear flooded the small living room, rifles raised, flashlights slicing through the dark. Maya stood perfectly still in her hallway, both hands raised, wearing nothing but a sleep shirt and a stunned expression. "Hands where we can see them," one of them barked. Her voice came steady, low, trained. "Officer, you're making a mistake. Get on the ground now." I said, "You have the wrong house." But adrenaline doesn't listen to reason. Within seconds, she was on her knees, her cheek pressed to the cold floor. One officer's knee pinned her back while another yanked her hands behind her. The plastic cuffs bit into her wrists, and then silence. Because as the flashlight swept across the room, it stopped on something hanging on the far wall, framed under glass, perfectly centered between 2 bookcases. A dark blue FBI field jacket, with a gold badge pinned above the left pocket. The officers froze. The one holding her arm loosened his grip. Another's breathing hitched audibly. The youngest of them whispered, "Oh, God." The lead officer, Sergeant Matthews, swallowed hard. His light trembled slightly as he scanned the jacket. Then the bookshelf, filled with law enforcement manuals, criminal profiling studies, and framed photographs of Maya shaking hands with people no civilian ever met. "Who the hell are you?" he whispered. Maya's calm voice cut through the heavy air. "Dr. Maya Coleman, former FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, badge number 521693. It took a few seconds for the words to land. The officers' faces changed, from aggression to confusion to shame. Matthews immediately signaled the others to lower their weapons. "Ma'am, we had an address tip." "You kicked in my door," Maya interrupted quietly. Her tone wasn't angry, just hollow. "You came into my home, middle of the night, no warrant visible, weapons drawn, and you didn't even double-check the number." Nobody moved. One of the younger cops, barely 25, started to speak, but his voice broke. "We're sorry, ma'am. We thought we were doing our job." Maya looked up at him. Her eyes weren't filled with hate, just exhaustion. "So did I once." After a long, trembling pause, Sergeant Matthews stepped outside to radio dispatch, confirming the address error. His voice, usually booming with command, was thin and careful now. Inside, Maya sat on her couch, a blanket draped around her shoulders, the shattered door leaning against the wall. The officers offered to fix it, to stay until it was secure, but she waved them off. "Just go. I need quiet." Before they left, one of them, the youngest, hesitated in the doorway. "Ma'am, for what it's worth, thank you. For not drawing your weapon." She gave a sad half-smile. "If I had, I wouldn't be alive to answer you." When the door finally closed behind them, Maya sat in silence. The clock ticked softly, each second hammering against her chest. She stared at the floor, remembering 1,000 raids she'd led, and how easily they could have gone wrong. She had been on the other side of that door too many times. She'd seen men freeze, women scream, children hide. She'd told herself they were doing it for justice, but now, sitting in her broken home, she felt the weight of every door she had ever kicked in. Morning came slowly. The neighborhood buzzed with rumors. People saw the police lights, the broken wood, the badge glinting in the sunrise. By 8 a.m., a local news van was outside. They wanted to know how a former FBI profiler became the victim of a wrongful police raid. But Maya didn't speak to them. Not yet. She went for a walk instead, through the quiet park where she used to jog every morning before her injury forced her out of the field. The same park where she had once promised herself she'd never let fear dictate her life. Now every shadow felt heavier. Every siren made her flinch. That afternoon, a knock came. This time, gentle. When Maya opened the door, a woman stood there. Captain Elena Ross, Internal Affairs. "I heard what happened," Ross said. "Mind if I come in?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. Over tea, the two women spoke, not as officers, but as people who had seen the cost of mistakes. Ross said softly, "They'll face disciplinary action. But that won't fix your door, or what they took from you last night." "What they took?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Captain, they didn't take anything. They gave me something," Ross frowned. "What do you mean?" Maya looked out the window, eyes glistening. "Perspective. For years I studied behavior, profiled criminals, wrote reports on how fear drives people, but I never understood what it feels like to be on the other side of the badge. Until last night." 2 days later, a short clip went viral. It showed Maya standing outside her damaged home, speaking softly to reporters. "This isn't about me being FBI. This is about what happens when fear outweighs judgment. I'm alive because I stayed calm. But what if I hadn't? What if I had moved too quickly? Or reached for my phone? You'd be writing a different headline right now." Her words spread across the country. Not angry, not political, just painfully human. Within hours, news anchors debated it, podcasts discussed it, and comments flooded in. She could have died. We need more voices like hers. Imagine the irony, the FBI agent becoming the victim. But Maya didn't watch any of it. She spent her days repairing her door, repainting her walls and writing, something she hadn't done in years. Weeks later, she sat on the porch at sunset, typing the final chapter of her book. The title, Through the Door, What Fear Teaches Us. It wasn't a story about blame. It was a story about understanding, about how easy it is to dehumanize the person on the other side, whether you wear a badge or not. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sergeant Matthews. "Ma'am, this might sound strange, but thank you. That night changed us. We went back, rechecked all our procedures. We don't kick first anymore." "We ask?" Maya smiled faintly, typing back just one word. "Good." A month passed. The seasons turned. Life, as it always does, moved on. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, Maya would wake to phantom sounds, pounding doors, echoing voices. She'd sit up, heart racing, until she reminded herself, "You're home. You're safe." And then she'd glance at the FBI jacket on the wall. Once, it symbolized authority. Now, it symbolized survival and humility. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the world gold, Maya set up a small camera on her desk. She wasn't recording for the news this time. She was recording for herself, and for the people who had been silenced by fear. Her voice was calm, steady, the same voice that used to brief agents before dangerous missions. Fear is universal, but courage is learned. The night my door was kicked in, I remembered every face I'd ever interrogated, every moment of terror I'd ever caused in the name of safety. And I realized, we don't need fewer cops or fewer laws. We need more humanity, more listening, more people who pause before they pull the trigger. She paused, breathing deeply. If you've ever been on either side of that door, this story is for you. Stay kind, stay calm, and never stop questioning what justice truly means. She smiled faintly into the camera. Thank you for listening. I'm Maya Coleman, and this has been my story. And as the screen fades to black, if this story moved you, like, comment, and subscribe to Silent Stories. Because somewhere out there, another voice deserves to be heard.